and welcome to This Week in East Brunswick, the town's own news and information program. This week, the Office on Aging extended grateful appreciation to the numerous volunteers who make so many of the senior citizens programs happen, like Sunday's sale of Mother's Day gifts for young shoppers. A look at seniors events is coming up tonight. We also have our recycling update with Director of Public Works Mike Opaleski. Veterinarian Charles Schendk explains Lyme disease, which all Central Jerseyans should think about as they prepare for spring and summer recreation. Animal Control Officer Mike Mansfield gives advice concerning animals who stray from East Brunswick's woods. All this and more, including Tuesday night's Youth Art Awards at the high school, and news from Monday's Council Action Meeting, tonight on This Week in East Brunswick. But first, here's a look at what's happening next week on Channel 8. Monday at 10 a.m., get an upper body workout from Look Great, Feel Great with Lenore Kulick. At 10:30, we bring you stories from the library with librarian Susan Pober. Tuesday night at 7, Psychology in Action examines women in treatment. At 7:30, employee motivation is discussed on You and Your Money with Paul Hansen. Business Bylines at 8 looks at businesses and community service. Wednesday at 7:30, Spotlight on Education focuses on new emphases for writing skills. It's followed by 8:10, where Stuart Davis meets kids who are concerned for the environment and doing something about it. This Week in East Brunswick returns Thursday at 7 and 8. At 7:30, Ken Shalhoub explores treatments for a common jaw disorder and its characteristic headaches. Check the Channel 8 program guide for recasts of the week's shows. May is Older Americans Month, which is supposed to increase awareness of seniors' needs and contributions all over the country. With news from East Brunswick Senior Citizen Center, here's the Director of the Office on Aging, Cynthia Schechter.
Hello, I'm Cynthia Schechter. Welcome to Hawaii. This is the East Brunswick Senior Center, all dressed up for a special celebration honoring 60 senior citizens who have given more than 7,000 hours of volunteer service to the township and to the senior center during the past year. It's a very special event for us, and we really try to make it special for them because we want them to know how important they are to us and how much we appreciate everything that we do. We're joined today with Mayor Jack Sinagra and Mr. Jack Coughlin, who is the new administrator of the township, and Judith Loveline, who is the director of the Department of Recreation, Parks, and Community Services. We will be giving out awards to the Senior Citizen of the Year, who single-handedly has donated almost 500 hours of service, and we'll be having entertainment by the Hawaiian dance class, all made up of senior citizens who are members of our organization. It's a wonderful day, even though it's raining outside, and we're having a good time.
Handmade crafts prepared by East Brunswick seniors provided local youngsters with some creative and inexpensive alternatives for Mother's Day gifts. Sunday's craft sale was a big success, with nearly 200 parents and children turning out. Proceeds from the crafts and refreshment sales went to the senior center. As part of the Art Goes Public program of the Middlesex County Cultural and Heritage Commission, the Senior Center sponsored Sunday's demonstration of Japanese woodblock printing by artist Suzanne Gaffney. The center enjoys hosting one demonstration in the program every year.
Hello, my name is Michael J. Opaleski, and I'm the Director of Public Works and Water Resources for the Township of East Brunswick. What I'd like to speak to you today is about recycling in the Township of East Brunswick. As you're well aware, the Township of East Brunswick has a mandated recycling goal that it must achieve that has been instituted by the State Solid Waste Division. In 1988, East Brunswick had to recycle 15% of its solid waste, and in 1989, we're going to have to recycle 25% of our solid waste. Now, the reason we're doing recycling is to save one valuable space in the landfills, but more importantly, we want to save natural resources. And the resources that we're looking at is paper products, the aluminum, as well as glass. These are products that can be easily recycled, and also it keeps us from destroying the environment to a certain degree. What I have next to me are some of the materials that we do recycle in East Brunswick, and I like to go over each of them independently so we know what we can and cannot do within the township. One of the prime things that we're looking at is the recycling of aluminum. And you can usually tell aluminum by its sound, as well as if you have a magnet, you can check the material. If the magnet does not hold, then you know it is aluminum and can be recycled. Importantly, approximately 22 cans, such as of this size, will make up a pound of aluminum. And for recycling 1 pound of aluminum, if it had to be taken from the earth and processed, you're talking about a $30 to $50 cost. For recycling 1 pound of aluminum, it's about 50 cents. So you can see there is a great benefit in doing it. But more importantly, it saves the environment. One of the other things that we're also recycling is glass. And the glass that we have is in 3 different categories. We have the clear, we have the brown, and we have the green. Now, the recycling law in East Brunswick requires you to source separate at the household. Again, this is from a monetary standpoint where the township has the individuals separating the material and saves us money when the recyclable contractor comes by to pick it up. If he had to source separate at his facility, it would cost us additional money. So you're actually helping the town in source separating your material. One of the other items that we have a great deal of material that we recycle on is normal newspapers. But also, this is where we get our most tonnage from, but it also is the one that causes us the most concern. What we can recycle is the newspaper that normally comes, such as this is the Sunday paper, even with some of the color. What we cannot recycle, and we're requesting our residents to source separate, is this type of material. The glossy type papers that you receive. Some are advertisements that come in the mail. Some are books or magazines. These type of material cannot be recycled within the East Brunswick program. So we're requesting our residents to exclude them from the waste stream and destroy them by putting them in the normal trash collection. We would like, and in a very short time, you will be receiving one of these in the mail. This again is a means of better managing the recycling program within the East Brunswick, and basically what we're asking you to do is to bundle your newspapers. We are presently going with another marketplace where we're getting an extremely high dollar value for the newspapers if they're bundled properly with none of the material that I just showed you mixed in. At present, we have to pay to have our newspapers taken away, but if we can, with your assistance, have the newspaper separated and bundled, we will be able to start selling it again and returning some money to the recycling program. I'd like to thank you for this opportunity in speaking with you today, and please look for this in the mail in the not-too-distant future. Thank you.
This edition of D.V.M. with Dr. Charles T. Schendk concerns Lyme disease.
Lyme disease is a spirochetal infection common in dogs and humans, and of very much importance to the residents of East Brunswick and central New Jersey. It's a disease which is very common on the entire East Coast and is increasing every year. It's of medical significance to the entire community.
How is Lyme disease contracted?
The tick that's responsible is called the deer tick, and this very tiny tick will bite the dog and the organism, the spirochetal organism, is transmitted from the tick into the dog or the human, and then the disease incubates and causes its problem in the dog. The deer is not the only creature that is important in the life cycle of this tick. There are 43 species of birds that transmit Lyme disease, are capable of supporting the tick to transmit the disease, and there are 31 species of mammals. So eliminating the deer population does not eliminate the disease from central New Jersey.
Have you seen a large number of Lyme disease cases?
We have had a large number of Lyme disease cases. Our pets come in with a variety of symptoms. The primary symptom is 69% of the time is recorded as an enlarged joint, sore, maybe swollen, maybe a very sudden lameness. Usually the pet will go to bed and be perfectly normal, and the next morning wake up with a swollen joint or with a painful joint, sensitive to touch, sensitive to pressure of walking, and can be extremely uncomfortable. This can be watched by the owner sometimes for a day to see what's going to happen, and the symptom can disappear, only to return 2 or 3 days later along the same sudden onset type of symptom.
Now, how can this be prevented?
Prevention includes being careful about going into the woods, especially the tick has an affinity for the brushy areas along the edges of the woods. So when you approach from a grassy field to the edge of the woods, you're going to be exposed mostly to this tick at the edges of the field, where the woods and the field meet. Putting your socks on the outside of your trousers so that you leave less ankle exposed to the tick, spraying with the repellent sprays, trying to limit your contact with brush and low shrubs, all are methods of control that will help. The tick is very, very small. The larval forms are invisible really to the naked eye, and so it's an extremely difficult parasite to combat.
So you're saying that this has serious implications for people?
Yes, it does. It causes a great deal of difficulty in people. Many of the excuse me, many of the symptoms in people are undiagnosed for long periods of time. Arthritic joints, usually the knee joint is affected. Other joints can be. Respiratory infections, gastrointestinal infections, or upsets are all symptoms. Sometimes this can lead into heart problems. It can lead into central nervous system problems. So the disease itself is a very serious consideration for New Jersey residents.
How is Lyme disease treated in pets?
When we diagnose Lyme disease in pets by a blood test and resulting laboratory confirmation, we treat Lyme's disease by putting the dog or the cat on several antibiotics, ampicillin, amoxicillin, doxycycline, and this medication is used for a minimum period of at least 4 weeks. The organism is very, very resistant to all antibiotics, and long periods of time must be used to control the organism and try to eliminate it from the animal's body.
As Lyme disease becomes more prevalent in New Jersey, it's important to check children and pets for ticks when they have been exposed to wooded areas. For more information concerning Lyme disease, you can contact the Edgebrook Veterinary Hospital at 257-8882.
How do you do? I'm Mike Mansfield, East Brunswick Animal Control. I'm back here at Blooming Kennels. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the wild animals that you're seeing in your backyard and running across the roads. The animals you'll see are raccoons at night, possums, squirrels all in the trees during the day, flying squirrels, groundhogs, also known as woodchucks, eating your grass. All these animals lived here long before the homes were here. When the homes were built, They just ran off in the corners and hid a little bit. They didn't leave the area. And then they just moved back in again when the commotion's over. I'd ask you to try and live with these animals. Nobody's attacked by them and they hurt nobody. If they move into your homes, obviously we don't need that. You cap your chimneys and the raccoons won't move in the chimneys. And you make sure that your soffits along the roof are in good condition and the screen is on your attic fans, and you won't get squirrels, gray squirrels and flying squirrels moving in your attic. Relocating animals is very bad for the animals. Only 10% survive. It would be like me taking you to Alaska and letting you go. You wouldn't know where your food was, where it's shelter, and it just doesn't work. The little critter I have in my hand here is a raccoon which came out of a chimney in East Brunswick. If you find you have raccoons in your chimneys, and what they'll do is they'll move in and live at the bottom of the chimney on the damper. If you don't need to disturb them and you can live with them, leave them there until midsummer and then call a professional exterminator who can chase them out of the chimney. The whole family can leave together. You cap the chimney and they cannot get back in. The mother will move off into the woods where she always has another home. All animals, as well as living in the chimney, they also have a home somewhere else that they can go to in emergencies. And you'll be happy, the animals be happy, and I'll be happy. If you have any other questions about wild animals in your area, you can reach me at the East Brunswick Police Department. I'll be glad to tell you how to animal-proof your home and who to call to help you remove animals, and a little bit of story about the critters that might be living in your backyard. Thank you very much. Please spay and neuter your pets and have a nice day.
In response to a directive from Middlesex County Prosecutor Alan Rockoff, the Township Council has authorized an investigation into the use of public monies and township services as assistance to nonprofit groups. Citing a number of articles appearing in last week's newspapers, Councilman Bill Kirk urged the administration to act promptly and compile a list of associations receiving support from the township. According to a May 5th Star-Ledger article, all county municipalities were sent notification to not use public employees and equipment to assist private nonprofit organizations, after Woodbridge Township came under scrutiny for providing such services to selected groups. According to Councilman Kirk, the purpose of his recommendation is to have the administration review the comprehensive list of associations and to ascertain that the township is indeed complying with all laws and guidelines in this area. He was, however, adamant in his statements that the intent of his request was in no way meant to take away from or harm any of these organizations currently receiving financial assistance in East Brunswick.
In order to set the mind of the public at rest, we're going to be undertaking a very logical and orderly study to determine those areas where we are expending money for private organizations, and Mr. Bush is going to be preparing a report. But I just wanted to assure the public that nobody should panic because of the potential loss of financial assistance that might be coming to them from the town. There are so many worthwhile projects that do take place in town now that we would hate to see them damaged, but we are under an order now.
Individual departments will be meeting within the next few weeks to compile a list of associations and to determine whether or not the agreements are in proper order and meet the eligibility requirements. Once this process is complete, changes to the agreements can be made if necessary, and the township can be assured that they are acting within the boundaries of the law. Council President Joseph Hudak welcomed the township's new administrator, Jack Coughlin, to his first official East Brunswick Council meeting. Coughlin comes to East Brunswick from the position he held as Holmdale's administrator for 16 years. Coughlin lives in Englishtown. He is Insurance Committee Chairperson for the New Jersey League of Municipalities and a member of the International City Management Association. The East Brunswick Library's reference area has been named in memory of the late library director David Weill. In addition, an endowment fund has been established to purchase special reference collections in subjects that were of interest to him. Described as a Renaissance man, Weill had many interests including architecture, history, archaeology, sports, cooking, and linguistics. An anonymous donor has already pledged to contribute a substantial collection of books on architecture. Contributions to the David Weill Memorial Fund can be sent to the library.
Hello, this is Dr. Charles Highstein. I'm an ear, nose, and throat doctor practicing in East Brunswick, New Jersey. I'm also the chairperson of the Hearing and Vision Preservation Division of the Middlesex County Medical Society. May is Hearing Preservation Month, and the Medical Society would like to present some information on preserving your hearing. Today's topic is going to be children. The most common cause for a child to visit a doctor is a condition called otitis media, or middle ear infections. Approximately 1 in 3 of all children below the ages of 3 will have at least one acute episode of otitis media. Otitis media, or ear infections of this nature, present with multiple pictures. The most common picture that will present is a young child screaming out of his mind, often in the middle of the night, pulling on his ears, and running a low to high grade fever. This will often be preceded by a cold or another illness. Usually visiting your physician or pediatrician will result in the patient getting an antibiotic such as a sulfa drug or a synthetic penicillin or even a more complex medication. In most cases, the child is better within a few days. The other extreme of ear infections is the chronic ear infection, or serous otitis media. This presents with a more gradual course. The child will often be delayed in speech, will not hear the things that you're saying. Often the child will be cranky again and will pull on the ears, but not to the degree of the acute infections. This is rarely or ever accompanied by a fever. Quite often, this type of infection takes a long time to be picked up, and the child will not get to the physician until they've had it for some time. On going to the physician may recommend antibiotics or decongestants. But in general, this condition will clear in a 6-week period. For children who don't respond with the acute otitis media and have multiple ear infections within a year, or for the children that have a persistent amount of fluid behind the eardrum, the ear, nose, and throat doctor should be sought out. Drainage of the ear by placement of a tube under general anesthesia is quite often an easy and quick procedure. This usually brings excellent results and will return the child's hearing to normal. If your child has any of these symptoms, you should quickly seek out your physician. This is Dr. Charles Highstein for Health Facts.
Hi, I'm Kenny Stoll for Teens Talk Titles, and I'm here to talk to you about a new book now available in the YA section of the East Brunswick Public Library. The book, called The Devil's Arithmetic, is by Jane Yolen, a widely acclaimed Jewish author. The book is about a girl named Hannah who thinks that Judaism, and remembering, especially the Holocaust, is not important. She wishes she can convert to Christianity so that she can celebrate Easter with her friends. However, one night, as she sits at the Passover Seder dinner, embarrassed at the scene her grandfather, a Holocaust survivor, is making, she is suddenly transported into 1942 Polish shtetl. From there, she is taken to a Nazi concentration camp, Buchenwald, where she learns the many horrors of brutal prison camp life. Whether Hannah will survive or not depends on whether now she realizes why we remember. So whether you think we should remember or not, this book carries a very deep message, as well as being an enjoyable, readable novel. So check this book out at the library.
The Youth Art Awards ceremony held in the high school auditorium Tuesday recognized the outstanding achievements of East Brunswick students in all of the school system's art departments. The auditorium was packed with parents and children. It had to be emptied out after half the schools were commended so that all the parents could come in and watch when their children received the certificates of merit.